Hi, today I'm working on kind of a fun project. It's personal. It's actually for my granddaughter. I got this for her birthday from a yard sale and thought it would be fun if we could personalize it. So it was all brown when we first picked it up, and had the cutest little story. This I bought it from a little girl who was turning 10, and she her grandfather had made it for her mother, and she'd had it, and her mom had told her her birthday was coming up, and if she wanted more toys she would have to clear out some of her old stuff to make room for it. So she was selling this for $10 at a yard sale, and I was really happy to buy it from her, and then give it to my granddaughter for her birthday. So I told my granddaughter that she could pick out how she wanted it decorated, and she's 10, and I kind of thought I was going to be doing like a rainbow barn or something with unicorns on it, but she went really traditional. She went with she wanted a red and white barn. She's very insistent that this inside floor be green, and that she decided for gray on the walls, and then probably going to do a black roof on here. But I thought I would just bring you along as I start painting the inside of the barn. So I'm using DIY. I forgot the color. Old School. It's the first time I've used Old School, so I'm hoping it's not too dark, but we're gonna try that first. And I think I'm just gonna go ahead and use just this regular, I don't know what you call this, but just a paintbrush. I have some chalk paint brushes. I'm not super picky about the brushes I use at this point. I figure whatever gets the job done. So I'm gonna start with that. I know it's not recommended to leave the paint in the can as you're painting, and sometimes I'll take some out, but I find that I'm really bad at estimating how much paint I need, so that I have to put it back in. So until I get better at that, I'll probably leave it in the can as often as I can, or as often as I'm able. So I'm starting to paint this on. You probably can't see it from where you are, but it was a little challenging trying to set this up for filming. This is actually the very first time I've filmed anything, so I'm sure that I'm sure this could be done better, but this is how we're doing it. As you follow along with me, you'll probably find that I try to get things done more than I try to get them right, because I have to try to have everything perfect. It just doesn't get done, and it's actually kind of not very much fun. So we're going to start this way. And I have found that with Deb's chalk paints, maybe all chalk paint, I haven't tried all of them, but I've tried a few of them. I found that it usually goes on darker than it dries. That's why I'm not entirely sure what color this will end up being on the inside of the barn. Like I said, I don't really want it to be too dark, but we'll see what we get. It was kind of funny when I first gave her the barn. I kind of had wanted to have the time to have everything perfect for her, present it to her all painted, but like I said, I wasn't really sure what she was going to want. so I thought it was a little risky for me to paint it and then maybe have to repaint it. So I gave her this kind of old junky barn, and you know what I thought was so wonderful is that she was totally cool with that. Like, here's this old junky barn, a little bit broken, a little dirty, a little dusty, and you know, I think if I had given it to, you know, some adults, they might have been offended by it, but she totally got it. She totally did. And last week she came to spend some time with me, and I had bought the paint. I didn't have the red paint when I first asked her what color she wanted, and so when she said she wanted red, I actually went with the marquee, also from Deb's DIY. I had tried, I think it's called Carnival Red. Yeah, it's called Carnival Red. I had tried that on a project a couple years ago, and I really don't like that color for this type of a look. I'm sure that it works for some things, but I'm going to start on this side here so that you can actually see the color that I'm painting. I'm sure my technique is not perfect. That's okay. I'm not looking for perfect. Also, I was going to say that the one thing that my granddaughter definitely did not like was a distressed look. I had these plans to make this really, you know, very distressed, and nope, she was not okay with that. I started painting the marquee last week, and then I don't know if you can see on here, you probably can't, but I just kind of taped off those windows. Nothing is perfect on this barn. Nothing is perfect. The windows are crooked. So I just kind of did a rough taping, and I was gonna kind of stencil those on there and make them look a little, you know, a little, what I always like to do, just look distressing, things like that. And she was so cute. She's like, Grangie, she calls me Grangie. She says, Grangie, that wasn't really what I have pictured in my mind. So I knew as soon as she said it that what she wanted was, you know, a new looking, freshly painted barn. And so that's what I'm going to give her as best as I can. And I figure, you know, it'll probably get dinged up and distressed through the normal play that we do. She likes, she has this whole collection of little plastic farm animals. She just loves animals, and she loves really all kinds of animals, but I don't know, maybe she's going to be a farmer when she grows up. But she has all these farm animals, but she also has a lot of like African safari animals, you know, lions and giraffes, things like that. So so we play together with this. You know, I'm kind of old for sitting down on the floor. I get a little sore from sitting on the floor and playing with her, but you know, something that my husband and I forget where we first heard it, but we've remembered it, and we've tried to live that way, is that you get 18 summers, you know, and she comes and spends every other week, or a night every other weekend with us, and we know that those aren't going to last forever, and And they're so precious. Make myself cry over here. They're so precious, and we just don't want to have regrets. And so that means sometimes I get down on the floor and it hurts after a while. It does. But maybe it keeps me young too. I don't know. But we've had some, hopefully she has a lot of memories. I know I sure do have a lot of memories of playing together. So I'm seeing this start to dry a little bit, and I do think it's going to be a little bit lighter, and I'm kind of happy about that because I didn't want it to be all dark and dingy in the barn. So I think while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to paint this roof, and I'm going to do that. I was kind of going back and forth. She's so cute. I told her, you know, that the roof should be black, and she quickly Googled images of barns and showed me that they could be gray, they could be white. So not really sure. I don't want it to be too dark. And also we're going to stamp the name of her barn on here when we're done. So she's been picking out a name for it. All right, so we're going to try white on this roof. I already painted the other side, and I do think I'm going to like it, although I may end up adding a little something to it. I haven't decided that yet. So when I'm working on a project, I definitely figure it out as I go along. I don't have this perfect picture of what it's going to look like when I start. So, you know, when it's done, I'm as surprised as anybody else at how it turned out. I usually kind of start with a general idea of what I want, and then one thing that I think makes I don't know if you'd call it art, but decorating prettier is the different layers. I really like adding texture and color and interest to things. And you know, I am a little limited on this one because I don't want to make it something that she's not going to like. But I think I could put a little texture on this roof that might make it not so just plain white, I guess, on the top. Although that may be what she wanted. And you know the good thing about grandkids, they'll let you know. I only have the one grandchild. I have two children, but only one grandchild so far, and it's just such a special relationship. I just feel really blessed that I've been able to have this relationship with her. I mean, of course, she's amazing. Of course, she's amazing. She's my granddaughter. And I'm sure your grandchild is amazing too. But I think it's just kind of a special thing that God set up, that we get to have children and then grandchildren, because children are a blessing. I enjoyed my children. I still enjoy my children. But I think, as time goes on, I don't know, maybe you get a better perspective, maybe you slow down a little bit. I was always kind of rushing around, I think, and I don't know. I mean, certainly if you could go back and do things differently. Who wouldn't go back and do things differently? So I think when you become a grandparent, you get to kind of go back and slow down and just really cherish that time together. You know, as we're coming up with the holiday season, I really look forward to it. I'm still working on Christmas. I allow myself to get overwhelmed for Christmas, and that's something I really don't like about myself, and I'm really hoping to improve that, because I still kind of get so overwhelmed that I don't enjoy it. I really don't like that, because it should be a beautiful time, celebration, family, and all the beautiful traditions that come along with Christmas. But the other holidays, I think I do better with. So we usually will plan a pumpkin carving, and we go to a local farm that sells the pumpkins. You get to actually go right out into the field and pick them out. It's not a big fancy one, but it's nearby, and so that makes it nicer, because we try to do it, you know, kind of in one day. We drive out, pick out our pumpkin, bring it home and carve it. And last year when we did it, I found that these really cool pumpkins, like there was one that was white and there was one that was light green, and I just loved them. I thought they were so gorgeous, so I bought myself those, and we brought them home. And well, then I didn't want to carve them, because, you know, I knew once you carve a pumpkin, it, you know, practically self-destructs right away. It gets outside in the warm sun one day, it starts to rot away, and so I decided that I wasn't going to carve mine, and I would help my granddaughter carve hers, and it did not go over well. I never did carve them, but I was talking to her the other day, and I told her I'd make sure that this time I got a pumpkin that I could actually carve. And I said, because I think you're still kind of mad at me that I didn't carve it last year. And she's like, yeah. So, oops. But I don't know. If I see a white or a green one, maybe I'll get that, and an orange one that I can carve. I'm just going to come around here on this other side. So that I can get this last little edge over here. But anyway, so yeah, we try to do that, and I think because I know pretty much the time that I'm gonna have with her, we try to pick the activities that we like to do. We've kind of set up some traditions. You know, we make a gingerbread house and decorate the Christmas tree, you know, all these types of things. So we try to make sure we schedule that for the little bit of time that we'll have together. All right, wow. You know, I'm looking at it in person, and then I turn around and look at it on camera, and it looks kind of cool, doesn't it? I don't know if you can see that gray is starting to dry on the inside. It still has a little bit of time for drying. We have the first coat of white on the roof, and I'm gonna go back in and do a second coat on that gray as soon as it's dry, and then a second coat on the roof, and then we'll come back and see what we do next. All right, so this next part I'm really excited about. I got these IOD stamps, which I've used IOD stamps before, but really just the letters. This one is is more of a design. I don't remember the name. Oh, it's called Bella. And I haven't had a chance to use it yet, so I kind of wanted to show you how to do that now. So the first thing, when you get your brand new IOD stamps, you need to give it a light sanding. This just kind of helps it to hold the ink or the paint a little bit better. And so I usually, when I get a new one, I like to just kind of do, even if I'm not going to use all of it, I like to just go over all of it really lightly. This is 220 grit sandpaper. Just kind of scuffing it up, scratching it up a little bit. All right. So there are lots of little pieces to this. I really wanted to use this round one, but I couldn't convince my granddaughter. But that would look so great, wouldn't it? I'm just gonna peel it off. Just do a little decoration right here. Really wanted to do that, but that's not what she wants. So she chose this one, I believe. So it's kind of a triangle. I think I'll do it about like that on there. So it is still going to be very beautiful. Now, I've watched a lot of people use these, and they usually use a little backer. I think this is called freestyle, and you just put it on there. I haven't had enough practice that I am able to use the little plastic backer, so I am going to do it freestyle. Hopefully I like it on the first try, because that's all I'm going to get, one try. So I'm going to put a little bit of paint in here. Use my brayer to kind of spread it out a little bit. Looks like I might need a little more paint. Okay, then I'm just going to take the stamp and, you know what, I don't think I did that right. Let me try that again. I think you're supposed to use the brayer on the stamp. Yes, this is better. This is better. So I am using paint, so it's not going to be quite as crisp as it would be with ink. I've actually never tried ink yet, but I bought some and I'm looking forward to trying it on a project soon. But just gonna put it on here, hold it steady, touch all the little spots, not pushing hard, I'm just lightly putting it on here like this. Well, that didn't come out nearly as crisp as I wanted it to, but luckily I get another try on the other side. But let me show you what it looks like. So to be 100% honest, I'm not sure I'm happy with how that turned out, but I want to add some of the other pieces that we talked about doing, my granddaughter and I, because You know, sometimes when I do something, I don't like it at first, but then after I look at it for a little while, I decide that I do like it. So I don't know if that's going to happen with this. I definitely wanted a crisper image. It came off a little, I don't know, a little more distressed maybe than I was hoping. So the other thing I wanted to try was stenciling these cute little chickens on the side. So I'm going to use White Swan again, and a stencil brush. This is, you know, nothing fancy here. These are folk art stencils and a folk art stencil brush. And I don't know if you've tried stenciling before. I've had a lot of success with it, honestly. I haven't had too many problems. Now that I say that, I'll botch it. But I used some painter's tape just to put it on there. I've got it roughly centered and straight on the side of my barn here. And now I've put a little paint on my stencil brush, really just a very small amount. And then I'm kind of tapping it. I have like a drop cloth here to get most of that paint off of there. And then I will start tapping the stencil. And I'm going to go ahead and do this whole row. There's a nice rooster here, a couple of hens and some chicks. And I've seen people use other techniques for stenciling. I kind of wanted to try it, but I need to just practice on something, I think, because I know this method works for me. It may not be as fast as I've seen people swirl their brush instead of tapping it. I think it's a little faster. But you know, I'd like it just to look good. I don't necessarily need to be fast about it. So if you've got a minute to watch me, I've got a minute to do it here. Get all these little chicks. There's also some seed. I don't know if those are some pretty small holes. I don't know if those are going to show up, but I think this is just kind of cute. I did talk to Allie about it. It was kind of cute when I showed her the stencils. She wanted all of them. She's like, oh, I want that one and that one and that one. So hopefully she'll be happy with just a few, the ones that I think work best on this piece. All right, I think now this barn has, the siding has, I don't even know what you call it, but there are lines on here that won't get stenciled. So it's going to make my chickens look a little bit different, but I think that turned out pretty cute. And I think I think I am going to be okay with this. I definitely wish it was a little more detailed, but I think I'll be okay with that. We'll see. I'll let you see it when I'm all the way finished here. But yeah, I like it. I think it's cute. It's finished. So I was able to finish the barn this weekend, and I presented it to my granddaughter, and she loved it. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted her to love it, and hopefully we'll have hours and hours and hours of fun playing together with it later. Thank you for going on this journey with me as we painted this barn. Let me just show you the final details that were added. As you can see, she named it Wild Barn, and I used the DIY paint and the IOD letter stamps just to stamp that on there. So that was actually pretty simple. and everything else pretty much stayed the same. When I was finally done, I used the big top from DIY and applied a coat of that just to protect the paint and seal up that chalk paint. I did need to spray the print here. I just used a little bit of clear spray paint to kind of set that before I brushed on the big top. Otherwise it would have smeared a little bit. So I did do that, and she's all finished, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So again, thank you for joining me and watching as we created this. And check back with us because we're going to have a lot of fun projects. We'll be showing some flips. We like to buy things from thrift stores and auctions. So we'll be showing you some flips and offering some of our projects for sale.